We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
Hello, and thank you for listening to Cheapseat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
The greater good. Sometimes not the greater good. It depends.
I guess it depends on the movie and your mood and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, it depends on if the greater good involves human sacrifice.
Oh, well, that's true. That is
Andrew,
true.
What's that?
are you good?
I did that thing where you breathe in and swallow at the same time, and don't recommend. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't usually work out too well for you.
Yeah.
I'm
good. Yeah, I'm here.
I missed where he was dying because I was looking at the other screen. So I'm glad Sarah caught him. I'm glad
At least someone cares.
Yeah, somebody did. It's obviously
don't.
not samurai, but at least somebody did. Cool. So what are we? Cheapseat Reviews. That's right. Actually, this is Cheap Scare Reviews.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ooh.
Our third week of Cheap Scare Reviews. And I'm really looking forward to tonight's episode because I have no idea how this episode is going to go. Because a lot of times I can kind of guess on how we're all going to feel and where this is going to go and things like that. And sometimes we chat ahead of time, not usually, but sometimes one of us will say something. But I have no idea where this is going to go. I know, our guest Sarah watched this a few weeks ago, and she sent me a few messages like, "What in the good hell am I watching?" Like something. So we'll find out. But this is episode 453, and we are talking about Hereditary. I always want to say Heredity for some reason.
Me too. I don't know why.
It
It feels better for some reason.
does. Hereditary.
When you say it like that, like
That was very southern.
Yeah.
Hereditary.
Hereditary. He read I Terry.
Yeah, there you go.
Read, like all red, like I am all red. He read I Terry.
There you go.
2018's Hereditary. I am Sean Allred. Joining me tonight is Andrew, more like Gabriel Byrne Jimison.
Oh. Dang it, you took my thing.
Oh, sorry.
That's nice.
I was imitating ping pong. That's what I was doing. I don't know what you were talking about.
I was wondering if I actually thought about making that someone's middle name.
ping pong.
Yeah.
Just like I was legit thinking about doing and Sam Vector, but
Yeah. So real quick, I just have to give this little anecdote before we get started. I'm a teacher, as many listeners know, and I walk in. I now have a job where I get to work with middle school half the day and then high school the last half. But I walk into the middle school this morning, and this girl who is the age of about 12 or 13, I lie you not. So I watched this movie yesterday, and this is no exaggeration. The first child that I see this morning comes up to me with a little black doodle pad type book, spiral bound book with drawings in it. The very first thing that happens. And I just looked at her and I said, I can't right now.
Not today, Satan.
Satan. I said, you're going to
Absolutely
have
not.
to come back to me later, but I cannot right now. She had no idea what I was talking about, and I'm sure I made her feel terrible, but I was like, just trust me on this. You will have to see me later.
Later.
that's
Oh
fun.
my god.
And I have a fun anecdote too about such a similar kind of thing. And making her cheap scare reviews return. It's been a minute, but is Sarah. Why are toys and models creepy in horror films? From the Bird in the Hand podcast.
Truth. Yep. Hi.
Hi, welcome back.
It's good to be here. I missed you guys.
Oh, we missed you too.
Oh.
I'm trying to think. When did we have you back on last time? Sarah, let's see. Was it Portnoy's Complaint was the first one.
That was the first one and the best one.
The best one
Come
ever.
on.
Oh yeah.
We had you on for Morbius.
Oh yeah.
I can't believe
That
that's
was
right.
terrible.
Yeah, we had you on last
That was
Halloween
really terrible.
for Morbius. So, yeah, that was a bad movie.
So we're constantly torturing our guest, is what you're
Well,
saying.
she made us watch Portnoy's Complaint. Let's not.
I did. That was that was a bird in the hand thing, but worth it. Every minute of my life watching that movie.
Yeah. So we'll see if you feel the same about Hereditary. Oh my goodness! All right, is that everybody? Yes, that's everybody. Andrew, tell the audience.
Hey, I didn't get to kill you.
Oh, how are you going to kill me in this movie, Sam?
Well, I wasn't introduced either, but
That's true.
Oh my god, I totally skipped you. That's so weird.
Well, it's probably because you can't see him.
That's
right. That is true. Oh, am I still? I'm still phasing. Yeah, I'm
barely phasing. Ah!
It has never been more. The metaphor has never been more appropriate than talking to Sam is like talking to a brick wall.
That is
you
true.
Kind of started as a little white light and just kind of came out through your camera. Yeah.
Sam,
what?
This director likes naked dudes in his film Vector.
Yeah. Apparently, it's a thing when you do with cults. You have to be a naked man and do full frontal and be out of shape. So,
yeah, there was a lot of man-ween in this movie. I was not expecting.
Yeah, I could probably be an extra in this movie.
Yeah,
right.
Very pale.
Very pasty white and slight little pot belly, just a slight one.
And just stand there and smile.
And just stand there and smile. Yeah.
In the woods. Don't forget in the woods part.
In the woods.
Yeah, that was when I was trying to make sense of this movie, so I decided to watch some YouTube how it's done or whatever, and I didn't realize there were people standing around the house in some of the establishing scenes of this movie. So that was creepy.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell if they were ghosts or not. I was like,
right?
Are they spirits or not? And then, realizing that they're not, I'm like, why? What's happening?
There's a lot of what's happening in this movie.
Yes.
So, all right. So how are you killing me, Sam?
Oh, well, I need, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a road trip, and I'm going to have some pinto beans beforehand. And then I'm going to drive pretty fast down the interstate and let some of that protein loose. And you're going to be so starved for air that you will need to, you'll desperately need to get air and lean out the window. And then I will run you into a telephone pole.
Yeah, I'm not going to lean out 2.5 feet, but yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I know that we're going to talk about it, but I just have to say, I was watching that scene particularly on my iPad, and I was moving around because I was doing stuff. I had to walk into the kitchen, and my son was standing there.
Oh, no.
And he didn't see my screen, but he saw the reaction.
Oh no.
And said, "Dad, are you okay?"
Oh, no.
And I said, "No, I am not okay."
And you know what? It's okay. You're okay to not be okay with that. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The only moment for me like that. So I was gonna watch the movie here in the office by myself, and Sarah was like, my wife Sarah, not this Sarah, obviously, said, "No, I want you to watch it in the bedroom with me." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not putting it on the big screen because then you'll see it and then you'll have nightmares." So I have my laptop there and I have my headphones. And so when we got to that scene, I had kind of like a little jerk, like a jolt in the bed. And she looks at me, she's like, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm all right." And then the next scene when the car goes back out there and you see the head and the flies all over it. I had to turn my computer so Sarah wouldn't see it, and I just kind of look over and I'm like, do not look over here. He said, is there a giant spider on the TV? I said,
Worse. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
All right. So there's a fun teaser for you. So for this movie's 2018's Hereditary, Andrew, go ahead and tell people what is Hereditary. I'm just going to keep saying it until it sounds weird.
Yeah. Hereditary.
Hereditary.
British.
There you go.
Fine.
Yeah. When the matriarch of the Graham family passes away, her daughter and grandchildren begin to unravel cryptic and increasingly terrifying secrets about their ancestry, trying to outrun the sinister fate they have inherited.
Okay. That's certainly more descriptive than IMDb.
Yeah, IMDb says this is a scary movie.
Basically. This scary movie, which by the way, Andrew sent the TikTok to us where mathematically, as of 2023, this is the 6th scariest movie ever made.
See, I don't know.
Scientifically.
Really?
I don't know, guys. I don't know.
That's what white dudes with glasses down on their nose with lab coats, that's what they have decided. Yeah.
The way they measure, they put 100 people in a room and they made them watch the movie or whatever, and then they measure blood pressure and heart rate and something else. So with an average heart rate of this and blood pressure of that and whatever, when you average it all out, this comes in at number 6. This movie. So
I mean, well, I think there was what excuse me. I think there was one jump scare in this whole thing that got me at least. But it just, I don't know, guys. I just I want to hear your takes. Let's just say that. Let's just do that.
Yeah, well, we're going to do that right now by doing our 5-word review where you go first.
Oh, okay. I've got 2 here. The first one is don't eat the nuts.
That scene bothered me so much. Oh my god.
And then my real one is long slog into madness. And every year we're chasing the dragon for the next hit of a good scary movie. We saw The Conjuring. I think we all like that. I think we all enjoyed Dr. Sleep as much as you enjoy something like that.
Yeah.
And I was hoping this was going to be it for this year. And mainly because, I still think of Midsommar every now and then. And the some of the scenes in there really stick with me. So I was thinking this was kind of going to be that same thing, but it never really manifested like it did in Midsommar for me. I know a lot of people will put this one ahead of Midsommar as a better film, and I just don't think so. I think Midsommar is definitely better. I think Midsommar is the fish out of water, right? So we can relate to the characters. In this, I think it's kind of hard to relate to the characters because they're all kind of weird and they're all, are we viewing this through the mother's projection? And is she going crazy? Are we supposed to view this through Charlie? And the whole time I'm thinking, well, is this real? Is this what I'm seeing here is on the screen? Is it real? And I did appreciate the fact that it kept amping up, right? So it like I said, it was a long slog. There was a constant trajectory towards the end, but I thought the payoff at the end wasn't quite enough for me to be freaked out or scared in this movie. And I think that's because I didn't connect to the characters as much. The whole time I'm thinking this father in this family, he's not reacting to anything. If his daughter died, he's going to be a lot more upset. If his wife is acting crazy, he's going to be a lot more upset. And I kept thinking, what would this father do in real life? And it wasn't what he was doing in the movie. So I enjoyed aspects of this. I think the tone is fantastic. I love the visuals of the miniatures and her little dolls and things like that. But I just don't think it has the payoff I was expecting to have in a movie of this caliber.
I think it's easy to say, I can speak for the three of us, that this director can shoot the hell out of a film.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I
yeah.
think the cinematography is great. I love, because we live in a world of fast cuts and quick shots and things like that. So whenever you do get the 11-minute one shot from Extraction, like, we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
This movie really, I mean, this is a slow burn, pun intended. We get a lot of very slow tracking shots. We get a lot of, I mean, the opening shot of the movie is we're looking outside at the playhouse, and then we do like a 90-degree or close to 180 into the room, and then push in on the model, at which eventually, oh, Sam, that's awful. That's really gross, dude.
Look at him laugh. Come on.
Oh, jeez.
That's just.
This is the thing you've been wanting the AI to do?
Yeah, it took a little while, but I ended up having to do most of it myself in
I'm
Photoshop.
sorry. Good Lord. That's awful.
Yeah.
I might have to kick you out of the stream for that, man. That's I'm gonna have to put like an explicit tag on this episode.
What? You've got a smile. You've got a little smirk there.
Oh my good hell. That's gnarly. All right, I'm gonna cover you up with my iTunes window here. I can't look at that. That's all.
Oh, it's really bad.
Let's see what here. I'll add a flower to it.
Oh.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I don't even know what I was saying anymore. I completely have lost my train of thought. I think
You were talking about the shots. You were talking about the cinematography.
yeah, the shots are great.
Really.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I can't think anymore. I'm done. Andrew, you say your 5-word review.
Well, I have a few.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Wanted to look away but couldn't. And
First of all, that was 6 words.
yeah, I know.
He
Actually,
never followed the rules.
7
Okay.
was a conjunction.
I was literally like
Um,
on my fingers, like, okay, no,
Yeah.
that was 6.
And then first real jump scare in a while
Right.
that
Yeah.
I've had. I usually I can watch horror movies, and even when they're supposed to be jump scares, I'm like, huh, okay. But this one, I literally I jumped. I was sitting exactly where I am right now, and I
Let me
watched-
guess. Was it when she ran out of the corner, Adam?
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same here.
because I was not expecting that at all. And then the last one I have, best horror film I've seen in a long time.
Wow. Really?
Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like it did its job. When I watch a horror film, I want to be scared. I want to be bothered. And this one did that. I literally had a jump scare. It was only one, but I wasn't expecting it, and it did its job. Like, it happened. And then I was also like freaked out. I was also grossed out. I was uncomfortable, which is, I think, when you watch a horror film, you might think you don't, but you secretly want to be made uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like you said, this is some of the best cinematography I've seen in a very long time as well, when it's this simple. I'm sure there is some CGI, of course, except that, okay, there was one CGI issue that I thought, not great. But how else are you going to burn a man alive?
Okay.
know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So that one I was like, okay. But the rest of it, I was impressed, really was. And I loved how you watch the relationship between these characters, and I bought into this completely. And I know you were talking about how the dad was reacting, and I was just thinking, I know that he's probably distraught, but at the same time, he also is trying to be the one
The dad.
piece of this thing that works. he's trying to hold everything else together and be strong, for clearly the everyone else in his life is like just in shambles. And I'm sure he's worried about his wife just being nuts because, let's face it, she is.
She is.
Which
So, I thought was the entire point of the movie.
Yeah.
I thought Hereditary was all about something gets passed down, and it is in essence, but I thought it was about mental illness, like completely about mental illness.
Yeah.
And that somehow the break was going to be with the mom, and then the girl was going to continue on the evil or whatever later on down the road. When she loses her head, I gasped because I did not expect that happening.
Well, there was one thing that I didn't understand, and maybe it wasn't portrayed well. When all the bad things started happening, I thought in my mind that should be the grandmother retaliating against the grandson for what he did to her granddaughter, because they make a big point to say the granddaughter is the favorite. The grandmother just absolutely adores her. But you get the sense that everything that bad is happening is some of it's coming from Charlie. I mean, sort of, you feel like that anyway, but then you realize later on it's not. It's from a completely different source, an outside source of evil. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they missed something there. But I had a good time. I mean, I won't say I had a good time. I had
had a time
watching this film. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And before I go on, I usually play the music, the movie in the background while we do the podcast. I am not doing that right now, and I usually scroll through the pictures. I might do that, but no promises.
Oh, I'll help you with the pictures.
Great, thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
What a helper.
Yeah. I know. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help.
Again, literally, I have iTunes pulled over Sam's face, so
Oh,
I'll let you, So, Sarah, what's your 5-word review?
This movie had me emotional. Not just emotional as in like haha funny, but like emotional. I felt many emotions, kind of what you were talking about, Andrew. Like the jump scare, it had me, but the car scene and her losing her head, and then there was a couple of other things that I'm sitting in my room, I'm watching the TV by myself, I have all the lights off, like I like to create an atmosphere, an environment, and so I'm watching this, and like there were times that I knew that I was not blinking, that I was trying to see, like when she was hanging up on the wall when the son was like waking up and he thought he heard something, and she's just in the corner like hanging there backward. Like I sat there and I felt my eyes starting to water, but I didn't want to blink because I didn't want to miss if she moved. And then when she did move, I was like, oh my God, so there were several different pieces of this movie that had me actually like either gasping or not blinking or jaw dropped, especially with the removal of the head. Like I was just like, okay, all right, wait, what is happening? Because along with the mental illness part, I thought that this was going to be centered around Charlie.
Right. Yeah.
And then after she talked about the grandmother told her once that she wished that she was a boy, I was like, that's gotta jar anyone to be told that. So I'm like, as a kid, if you're being told that, that's messed up. So yeah, I thought it was going to be centered around her with a mental illness problem or with some kind of like psychosis or epilepsy or something. And then her head was removed. And I was like, I don't know what to expect from this movie anymore. I don't, my expectations were completely changed. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely had me emotional because I was all over the place.
Okay. Yeah. You and I are on the same page with so the jump scare for me actually wasn't the her running out of the corner.
Ugh.
The jump scare was for me was when he headbanged his face on the desk for some reason. I wasn't expecting
that was brutal,
and like it jarred me. But the only time that the movie like really freaked me out and made me like I got chills, like goosebumps, like the whole nine was that scene where So the boy, I forgot his name, the brother, he's waking up from his ordeal by his head banging against the desk, and so the camera is tight on his head, right? And then he sits up, and the camera goes with him, and the camera is just slowly pulling back, and the lighting around him is really dark because it's night, and the lighting is just enough that you can start to make things out in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So your eyes are like looking around because like the director is showing you behind him for a reason, right?
Yeah.
The director does that. Everything in the shot is there for a reason. And that's when your eyes make like, wait a minute, what is that in the corner? And then like there's just enough light, and there's like your brain starts to, oh,
See
that's
things.
the mom. Like that's when things got really freaky for me. Like it
Yeah.
really, like that affected me.
Mm-hmm.
The other moment that I again enjoyed is a strange word, but like a bit of acting that I thought was awesome was when husband is being lit ablaze, and she's crying, she's screaming. Toni Collette is screaming, and then for 1 second she stops, and then just like it's just like focused, right? Like, okay, I've done my task. Like that's when you realize that she's no longer in control.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought that was a brilliant piece of acting for on her part. So my 5-word review: grief is hard and scary, and summoning the dead never good. So those
Or the devil, or the demon,
or whatever.
or yeah.
Summoning the thing is never good.
The devil.
The devil.
That one. Yeah.
Do I don't know if I have that handy.
You don't have that handy?
The devil.
There you go.
Oh wow, I haven't heard that in forever.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. What would you say about that, Chad?
It was a different time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. May he
Yeah,
rest.
that was the guy that was on the first 100 episodes of the podcast. I recorded a few clips of him because he used to say that all the time. Just
It was a different time.
he used to say that all the time. So I just captured it. Okay.
The devil.
Okay. Thanks, Chad. So this movie annoyed me more than scared me.
Oh really?
Yeah. So now, Sam, you knew this because we spoke earlier that day. Yesterday was just a bad day for me. Yesterday was all of the, like, it started off bad, and then just there's a thing at work that happened that really pissed me off, and just thing after thing just made it just not a good experience. And like I got home and I was just grumpy, and I know that I took some of it out on my wife. I know that I did, and bless her heart, she didn't like push back on it. She just kind of let me vent a little bit. And so when it came time to watch this movie, I didn't want to watch this movie at all. I was not in the mood. I wanted nothing to do with this movie. So as I'm watching it, I'm just looking for things that annoy me. So
you went into it wanting to hate it.
I really did, because I was in such a bad mood. And so I did think I'm in bed, the lights are off, again, Sarah's sitting next to me, but like I'm trying to do as much as I can to be in the moment to give myself the right environment to watch the movie. And the head, yeah. So like the brother annoyed me, because he's like any teenage boy, he's pretty selfish. And so when he takes the sister to the party because he's trying to cover that he's going to, not a school function, but a party. And so she
Rager
goes,
man.
but like, but this is where things like really fall off for me. And again, and the three of you both have kind of said, the three of you have all said kind of the same thing, where we thought the movie was going to be about like the grandmother is the matriarch and she dies, because we even get a ghost moment with the grandmother.
Mhm.
Yes.
Like we see her in the
And that was
corner.
fairly early, if I remember right.
It was really
was,
early.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm like that, and I thought the same thing. Oh, this is going to be grandma haunting the family. That's what this is. And then they go to a party and she can't eat nuts. And we've already established earlier in the movie that she's allergic to nuts. So why doesn't the brother carry an EpiPen with him? He would
Yeah.
do that
Hmm.
if there was any. You're going to a party at school? Yes. Here's the EpiPen. Make sure she doesn't eat any nuts. Like that would happen in a family with a nut allergy because I have a nut allergy in my family, not my immediate family, but my in-laws family. So, and there's always like 3 EpiPens lying around somewhere. So that, and then here's the other part, just a second, Sarah, and then I'll let you jump in. But the other weird part is like, he goes, I'm taking you to the hospital, but he's on that dirt road back to their house. They were in a city. Why are you leaving the city to go to the hospital? Like, is Utah so weird that they have towns where the
Wait,
hospital?
this was Utah?
Yes.
How do we know this was Utah?
The Utah license plate, and also.
Oh, okay. I
in
never
the
even
trivia.
noticed.
But but like, I never understood the purpose of that. Is like, other than we need a place for her to die, and it makes sense. But then say, I'm trying to take you home. Don't say the hospital because it doesn't make sense. So that annoyed me. But the head bit was very effective. What were you going to say, Sarah?
I was just going to say that she was old enough to know that she needed to carry an EpiPen with her. So
Right.
it wasn't all necessarily on the brother's responsibility, like on the brother's shoulders. But she's old enough. If the mom is going to send her with him by herself to a school function, she's old enough to know that she should have. I mean, I'm sure it's like in her backpack every day at school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a whole family thing, not just him as a selfish brother.
Yeah.
Not saying that
And-
that's not correct, but
No, and she's also at the age that she probably knows she shouldn't have nuts. You
Yeah.
know,
But when
like
she
I have a 13-year-old and he doesn't have any allergies, but he's of the age now where he's like, he would be conscious of what he's eating if he had an allergy, I think.
Yeah.
oh, was she supposed to be like 11 in this movie? How old was she? Was
13.
she 13?
13.
She
yeah.
said 13. Yeah.
So I did not get her age until they said how old she was in the movie, and then I was like,
Mhm.
she's 13? Because when he was talking to her, when she suggested taking her to the party with him, I was like, isn't she like 8 or 9? Like what is happening? And then they were like, she's a 13-year-old, and I was kind of floored by that too, because that's not what I was expecting either.
Yes. Yeah. Well, again, the whole party was he just needed cover for. I mean, that's why she went. He just needed some cover because if he said no, she can't go, then mom's going to be suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
But again, to your point, also, she's old enough to, when he says there's cake, go have some cake, and then she says, well, it's not for everybody. He goes, yeah, just go stand there and they'll give you some cake.
But
say, hey, is there nuts in this cake? And I
but
know she's super
she was
shy.
there's something off with her, and I think the movie kind of points it towards already her being possessed.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Is she
'Cause-
possessed? I just thought she was special needs, honestly.
No, I mean,
think she's possessed. Yeah.
she is, I think, from the beginning, and I think that's why we see the grandmother early on. But when the kid grabs the scissors and goes and takes the pigeon head off,
Oof.
we haven't
Yeah.
seen anything yet that would lead us to believe that anything else is going on. So I think that, because at first I thought, what a weird child. Why would she just go cut the head off this bird? But yeah, I think
Emotional.
Sam's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just took that as just kind of being, off. But then to your point about her maybe already being possessed, maybe you're right. Maybe she's already got grandma there inside of her, and because
it's not grandma, it's Panem or Panini
Right.
or whatever the
Panini.
demon was.
Paimon.
Paimon.
And
Thank
Am.
you.
You know, that's a real demon. That's like, it's
Yeah,
not
it's a
just
real
a
thing.
made up whatever. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until yesterday.
I do like how they establish the fact that she loves chocolate, though, early on, because we see her in 2 different scenes eating chocolate.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why when we see her eventually at that party and he says there's chocolate cake, she's like, oh, I will have some.
Yes. But back to the scissor thing with the bird head. So she does that and she puts it on her little doll, but she does it and I didn't put it together until I think while Sarah was talking that's basically the same shrine that's at the end of the movie with her head on the
Yep.
top.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
She was maybe practicing or whatever his name is, demon guy. So,
Nickname.
but see, that's the problem, and that's the thing where the movie loses me is like, oh, this is The Exorcist, right? Because like that's why I liked Midsummer so much because it's real people. Like there's no magic, right? There's nothing happening there. It's like real people making real decisions and real consequences, and it's awful. People are being burned alive in that movie because people made the decision that you should be burned alive. But in this movie, it's like, oh, there's magic. So it's, I don't know. So another moment that really annoyed me, and it's just a continuity error, but it smacked me in the face so hard. So it's when Toni Collette has discovered, she's gone to her friend who's like, hey, you can do this thing with, you can read these words and recite whatever, and then you can talk to your kid. Which then later on in the movie, you learn that that woman was part of the cult of the grandmother, and that's why she had the doormat that grandmother had made for her.
Mhm.
So anyway, so Toni Collette goes there, and so when she wakes up the two boys, and they come downstairs, and they're boys, and dad and the son, and she's like, okay, so we're gonna stand here and we're gonna put our hand on the cup, right? The candle is not lit. 100%, the candle is not lit, and then the camera cuts to back or farther away, right? The candle is still not lit. And she says, okay, Charlie, are you here? Charlie, are you here? And I'm like, she didn't light the candle. The woman specifically said, you have to light the candle. And then she says, Charlie, are you here? And then the glass moves. The dad looks under the table. The camera goes down. The camera comes back up. And then the candle is lit. So I just, either there's magic candles happening or it's a continuity thing. But it annoyed me. It took me out of the scene. Is what I'm saying. So, continuity director, it's your fault that scene didn't affect me. And the other thing that really annoyed me, and I hope somebody else picked up on this, when the dad is getting the email about the grave having been robbed, which I thought at the when I first saw it, because he right after they go to the funeral for the grandmother is when he gets the first call about the grave being messed up, and he doesn't tell her, that Toni Collette, because he doesn't want to upset her. I thought Charlie had gone and dug her up, but come to find out it was the group that they needed their matriarch. Anyway, he's looking at his computer and we see his screen, and then he gets an email. His inbox was empty, guys. Empty. The only day my inbox is empty is when I start a new job. And even then I have 5 waiting for me from agents. As soon as I saw 0 emails, I'm like, that's not real. That's the most unbelievable thing in this whole movie.
There are some people, my wife is one of them, that if there are any notifications for an email, like, it cannot stand. We have to make
I do that too. I cannot have unread email.
Right.
I can't have unread.
I know a lot of people that use emails, the unread emails or read emails, as their to-do list. Yep. Right? I've read the email. Yep. I'm going to keep the email because I need to refer back to it.
Right.
So I leave it in my inbox or I move it into a subfolder. Right? This guy had nothing. This is 2018. This is not like 2008. He had 0 emails. I know this is a dumb thing to bring up, but again, in my mindset, I was so annoyed. Like, really? He has 0 emails? That's the most unbelievable thing about a movie with possessions and books that can catch on fire and not, like. Anyway, I don't know. The movie didn't work for me the way that it worked for Andrew, and I kind of wished it had, but it didn't. It just didn't work for me. Midsummer was scarier. I mean, you said, Andrew, scariest you've been in a long time. I mean, we go back to last year. Paranormal Activity, that wrecked me for days.
And see, that one didn't bother me. I don't know.
Yeah. And then Carrie, Morbius, Nightmare on Elm Street, and The World's End. None of those are scary.
Right.
Carrie only just because the mom is ridiculous. But yeah, you're right. We didn't really do. Again, for me, that one was pretty. I mean, the only other horror film that we've done in between that time was The Menu,
Yeah.
and that's not
Which,
really
again,
scary.
yeah, not really scary.
Kind of a thriller. Though we did do Star Trek V, and that's bad scary. So maybe it's not the.
Yeah.
But then the previous year was Blade, Doctor Sleep, The Conjuring 2, and then Halloween Kills. So The Conjuring 2 was pretty. So I mean, maybe like you're talking like legit, like Andrew, like 2 years since you've seen the scary movie.
Since, I mean, I think I mentioned last week, movies really don't scare me that much.
That's true.
At least horror movies that are supposed to be scary really don't do anything for me.
Yeah.
And this one did, which is why I said I think it did its job. Yeah, and just comparing this to Midsommar for me, I mean, you're talking about how it's real world, and I think that's it. It definitely bothered me, but I wasn't scared. Like, you know, and I wasn't like,
yeah,
I wasn't on the edge of my seat waiting for that fear factor to like pop in, and like I was, of course, waiting for something gross to happen, which happens a lot in that movie. But I was never jump scared or frightened. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there was only a couple of jump scare attempts. That was more of a psychological thriller kind of a thing. Again, another slow burn, like again, pun intended. So so this is a side note. I mentioned this, I think, right pre-show, right before we started recording, and I forgot to tell you. So, so last week we watched Nope for the podcast and recorded it and had a good time with Nope, the Jordan Peele. And I talked to somebody else about it today, and I said, in that whole movie, the scariest thing is the chimp, and they were like, "Oh yeah, like definitely the thing with the chimp was the scariest." And then we talked about like what the metaphor of that is, or the meaning behind it, and all that stuff, right? And then I had to tell this story. So Sunday, I had my own Nope experience. Now, Andrew and Sam have both heard this story. Sarah, obviously, you haven't, and the listeners haven't. So Sunday night, it's like 7:30 p.m. My wife is cleaning out the litter, the cat's litter, and she says, "Hey, let's just dump this whole thing and just start a new one." I'm like, okay, sure. So my backyard, we're in the new house. So I live on like a third of an acre ish, and the backyard where it ends, it drops down to a hill. It's like a smallish hill, and it's about 100 feet down to a road. And as you look to the right, the hill gets steeper and farther down. So I'm going to go to the hill to dump the litter on the hill because it's technically public property. So whatever, it's just grass. So I get to the edge there. I get to the edge there, and that down away from me, like at my 1 o'clock, down the hill, probably 200 feet away from me, I hear this noise, and I can only describe it as like it's not like rustling leaves, it's like rustling lots and lots and lots of leaves, like if you had like a leaf blower, but without the sound of the leaf blower, like just this huge sound of leaves being moved. And there was no wind where I was. Now, there's probably wind down there where they were, but there was none where I was. And this sound traveled up the road, and it traveled about 60 to 70 feet in about 3 seconds going up the road. And I had my little flashlight, and I couldn't see anything, and I went, nope, and I turned around and walked back to the house.
I don't blame you.
And
oh my God.
My daughter goes, "What's wrong, Daddy?" I said, "I heard a noise and I'm not going out there." And she said, "Okay." And then Sarah comes out and goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Taking it to the dumpster out front because nope." So that was my nope moment from this weekend. Anyway, that was scarier than anything I saw in this movie. But there you go.
Sam, this picture just keeps getting worse.
Oh, it does. Something happening?
Watching it. Oh my God. So bad.
It's also weirding me out that Sam's audio and video are not synced up.
Correct.
Yeah, my computer's doing weird things.
Well, well,
Bye, Sam. Oh, there he is.
I was trying to see if it was a StreamYard thing, but no, it's his computer.
yeah.
Say something, Sam.
Say something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
Oh. Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be
it's
right back.
like 2.5
5-second
seconds
delay.
behind. Yeah.
Am
took
I
a
the
lot
only
of
one that noticed that picture kept getting worse?
No, it did. Yeah.
I was trying not to look at it.
Yeah. When he first pulled it up, it was just the picture of them smiling, and then Sam's head is like in there as like a third sibling, and I couldn't I had to stop looking.
Yeah.
So
I did take a lot of notes. I did take a lot of notes.
You took it.
I
lot
took
of
a
notes.
lot of notes on this one.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
again, usually if I like it, that means I didn't take a lot of notes. But cool transition from the model shot to the reel. I thought that was a really cool shot.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed several times when he was driving, he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, but that's just an actor thing. Like I thought maybe that was going to play into the story that he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, but that didn't matter. I did think it was interesting that we're still using the R word in 2018. That was pretty.
Well, I think that was done on purpose to make that girl just look like, wow, you're a bad person.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're right. Yeah, and even the brother was like, "Yeah, she does that." Like he doesn't defend her.
Yeah.
Which again, why no. What do you mean?
it's a sibling, right? He's trying to be the cool guy.
I know, but
I feel like that looks like normal siblings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, maybe. Again, only child, so I don't know. What would I know?
I will say the mental health portion of like the dad trying to hold together, Andrew, like what you were saying earlier. And then like, his email inbox being emptied and he's trying to hold it together even though he's drinking at work. Like I come from a family I've had a couple of siblings pass away, and watching that, like, 20 years hindsight and kind of looking back at different, our own family dynamic, their PTSD and your survival mode kicks in, right? So if he's supposed to be the man of the house and he's paying the bills and he's doing all these things to be like the what's the word? To be like the person who takes it, the anchor. Thank you. It's a great. So if he's trying to hold it together, meanwhile, not holding it together mentally, he's literally just plateaued and just trying to like stay as stable as possible. I thought that they portrayed that really well along with her. So like the mom, Toni Collette, I thought she played this phenomenally. Also, I made a fool of myself. So I actually watched this movie like Sean, maybe the day after we talked about me coming on the show. And I had gone to Oklahoma for the weekend. And as I was driving back up to St. Louis, it's like a 7-hour drive, I stopped at a Walmart like halfway through. And I swear to God, I thought Toni Collette was in Walmart. And she's like walking towards me. And I was like, that's her. And in my head, I have like headphones in. I hate going to Walmart, but I have headphones in and I'm like, oh my God, I have to stop and say hi. Like, oh my God. But as she like got closer, right? Because I was about to like stop this person and be like, yo, this was phenomenal. It's a great movie. I realized it wasn't her, but I was like a half second from being like, hi, ma'am, excuse me. Hi, hello. Oh my gosh. So that I almost humiliated myself and her. But for Toni Collette, with the way that she portrayed her as like a survivor, where she had, a mother who may or may not have been crazy and she cut off contact for a long time, to the point that like, the son was cut off contact. So, also the detail about her brother committing suicide and leaving that note saying that the mom was trying to put people inside of him or whatever, that kind of blew my mind too, where that, where the mental health piece kind of comes in, where you're like, oh, something is happening in this family. So like, again, my expectations had completely changed once Charlie was gone.
I bet you that I would probably like this movie more on a second viewing, just because the two details that you, Sarah, have mentioned I think you mentioned both, was the thing with the brother. I forgot all about that until you just said it. And it makes total sense now that the grandmother was trying to bring forth Pygmalion there through the son. I probably shouldn't make fun of him, right? That seems like a dangerous thing to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pygmalion, that's fine.
You know, like she's trying to bring forth him through her son, which leads to the comment of when she says to Charlie, "I wish you were a boy," because she's circled in the book. He wants to be brought back into a boy, in a man.
In a man's body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Creepy.
Yep.
I did think that I wish I what's his gosh name? I can't think his name.
What was that noise he just made?
Peter. When Peter, decapitates the sister, right?
Yeah.
And just goes home and then just goes straight to bed. Like, I don't understand that
Trauma response.
I guess.
Yeah. He's in shock.
He's in shock.
100%.
Yeah. He's in shock. It just.
I mean, if that happened to you, would all logic completely kick in and be like, well, I need to call 911 now. My sister's head's on the ground.
I don't know. I obviously I can't possibly put myself in that situation for many reasons, but like it felt like what he did was the worst situation. Like it felt like there was a dozen things he could have done, and having his mom on the way to the grocery store find her decapitated body in the back seat is the worst way to do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. The
straight trauma response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also look at the way that he is treated afterwards, right? That the family dynamic has obviously changed in that aspect, because now there's a person completely missing from the house. So their entire family dynamic is changing, not just with the grandmother recently passing, but now Charlie. And so then knowing that there is, blame to be passed around, and then it coming full circle where Peter says to the mom, well, who made me take her to the party with me? I had chills because I was like, because that's just going to create this whole mess of a tornado of a family drama, blow up. And then she freaked out. And yeah. So, I mean, even we'll say the aftercare of a trauma like that, not just to the family in general, but to the person who, potentially the blame would be on his shoulders. The response to that was also not appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And making him go back to school, what felt like the next day, seems like
that was horrible.
decision.
Yeah, that's just not good.
Just,
a lot of bad decisions. That's a horror movie, though, isn't it? And there's a lot of bad decisions made by most everybody.
Yeah.
You mean like when you're being chased by your demon mom, you run into the attic instead of outside and into the car?
That part actually made me laugh because I was like, why are you in the attic? There's no escape.
Right. Yeah, there's no escape up there. Now, again, I have to say that. So when he's up there, right, and the mom is headbanging on the door, which was creepy. It was a creepy
on the ceiling of the door, right?
Up the door, yeah. She's headbanging, which was a very, very well shot effect. And then that's when he sees the naked family in there with him.
Oh,
his instinct is to jump out the window. Now,
yeah.
No, I'm with you. But
that was fight or flight.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and he chose correctly, right? Because I probably would have done the same thing. Probably.
He literally chose flight.
Yeah,
literally. Yes.
But my problem is that it made me think of hold on, where is it? I'm pulling the wrong thing. Hold on. It made me think of the no, not that.
Oh, I know what you're looking for.
It made me think of this.
Yeah.
The scream from We Summon the Darkness. Sarah, this is
Yeah.
a scene in the movie where Alexandria Daddario is the bad guy in this movie, and she is thrown from a second-story window. A second-story window. And this scream is 3 seconds long.
You're a pilot?
The scream that just keeps on going. Like, so when he jumped out that window, that scream went into my head.
Mhm.
So I lost again the moment of what was happening. Not the movie's fault at all. That was just because of that stupid movie that we watched for the podcast. So so again, it doesn't take you 3 full seconds to go from the second story to the ground. But
Right.
my God, that scream was long. Anyway, so sorry about that. But yeah, no, that was actually kind of a jump scare when he turns and like there's a naked family, or whatever, and they're just grinning. It's like, ugh.
Oh, and
Yeah, the smile thing was creepy. Ugh.
and when he hears the sound of, okay, so I didn't know what the mom was doing at first. I thought she was just like stabbing herself in the neck with pins.
Oh, gosh,
I didn't realize
yeah,
it was
I
like
thought
a
so, too.
handsaw type thing.
Yeah.
Like she was
Yeah.
literally sawing her head off.
Yeah, it was from the her minis.
The piano.
Right, right, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
The destroyed
Piano wire. That's
downstairs.
why the piano was broken and turned upside down. I
Yeah,
didn't pick up
yeah.
on that. I knew it was something like that, but yeah. But see, that scene bothered me too in the wrong way because I felt like her death was anticlimactic.
Really?
I just she's chasing him, and all of a sudden she's magicked into the attic where he is, and she's just sawing her head off.
I think
Why?
that's where the possession took place in his body because she was temporarily possessed, and in order for spirit to leave her body and go to his, she had to die. So he was actively being chased by the demon, by the possessed mom. And so now that they're in the attic space together, she kills herself, possesses his body. That's why he jumps out of the window, because there's still a piece of his human part, his human person that's there and is scared of the naked family that's standing there.
But
So
no, the possession doesn't happen yet. It happens afterwards because we get that light ring that focuses on him after he's on the ground. So
There has to be in the ritual 3 heads.
Really?
If you
What?
look
Where's that
throughout
coming
the
from?
movie, there are hints throughout the entire movie. This is, again, I did a deep dive on YouTube today. In the picture book that they show of Plebeius, Pluribus,
Previous-
whatever his name, Panini, he has 3 heads hanging from his side in the picture.
Yeah.
There are 3 caps on the wall in his room, each corresponding to a color of one of the characters that gets the head taken off.
Mhm.
So in order to complete the ritual, there has to be 3 heads, which is why the mother, once she was possessed by this demon, the demon in her made her cut her own head off and then flew her body up to the treehouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say the flight of the dead body bothered me. if we're talking about things in the movie that were annoying, like there's this whole supernatural effect that's part of the whole movie, but the body floating up to the treehouse, that's probably the only part that actually bothered me, that I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt too clean. Like, like having it dragged in the ground would have been, I think, creepier or something.
There was already
Yeah.
a naked family in the attic. Just carry the damn body to the treehouse.
Right.
You're going anyway. Like,
Yeah.
save the flight, I guess. I don't know.
Well, we
Joan
don't want to
could
get
have
naked man
Carried
dirty.
it over.
I did finally the at the funeral. Anybody notice the weird smiling guy?
Yes.
Yes.
That finally came to fruition because I thought there's got to be something to do with this guy.
Mhm.
Never in my life thinking there was some sort of cult that was following this family, and you got to think too. This whole movie is about is their choice. was there any way out of this situation for this family, and especially for this son? And just like the teacher was teaching about, wasn't Pericles, but it was one of the people who had absolutely no way out of it, right? Even with all the hints around them, the fate was set in stone, and that is, to the point where the cult probably put the deer in the road for the car to swerve around. And the someone mentioned on YouTube that the girl could have even been in the cult and processed the nuts for the child. Like, there's all these weird theories out there that this cult is completely, and you can kind of feel it by the end, right? It just keeps getting closer and closer and closer, and to the end where they are right there. They are in the room with you, and they are controlling everything around you. And that was kind of the creepiest thing to me, was that this feeling of claustrophobia with these characters not being able to kind of live their own life. They're kind of being forced into these roles.
I think it like beautifully portrays that eventuality also. Where, because for me, I want to know the before story. How is the grandma connected to this? Because I want to know, like, did she have brothers? Did she have someone? How did she somehow become connected to this like cult in order for her to be willing to be like, yep, I want my grandson to be possessed. Like, cool, I'm totally okay with this.
Not
I
to
want
mention,
my whole daughter's family to die in order for possession to take place.
The lady who taught her how to do the seance, she mentioned that her children died. Her sons died.
Yeah.
That
wasn't it her
could have
son
been,
and then her grandson?
Yeah. And that could have been a possible them trying to get the body to this Pan Am thing. I can't remember the name, the demon god thing. So there's it's like all of his movies, right, where there is just so much mythology and so much behind the scenes. You go back to Midsommar, when there is the entire culture of that cult is never really explored, but it is just brilliantly planned out in terms of making it feel somewhat real.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The rest of the notes that I took for the show at this point have no meaning after that discussion, because it answers so many things.
Well, what were some of the questions? What was this while you were watching, trying to find?
Well, yeah,
answers,
so like little things like because we talked about like how he shut down the dad, really shut down. So like I wrote, let's see. I did write, not knowing how much time has passed, him going back to school is a bad idea. Why won't she tell him that she's going to grief support instead? She just lies and says she's going to a movie, which kind of flips back on her, because I wrote, now that she needs him, if she wasn't a dick to him through most of the movie, he might be more receptive to trying to help her.
Yeah.
Instead, he's like, no, I'm going to shut down. I'm going to call the police. Well, then the next thing happens is he turns into a pyre. So, and then I did ask, I did ask, who are the dead naked people? I didn't realize that they were alive. I thought they were dead naked people because they're so pale.
Yeah, the cultists.
And it's like, oh, it's Utah. I guess they're just.
It's Utah. Oh, I do have one more thing, actually, that actually bothered me. The dad catching on fire. There was no singe marks on the floor. There was no damage.
Yeah, or on the roof or on the wall.
And how, like, there was no smoke. There was no that part bothered me, just because the son, who wasn't possessed after he wakes up and comes downstairs and was like, what's going on? There's not obviously, but there's a body-like shape rolled up in a carpet. There's the broken piano all over the floor. Like, something has obviously happened in here, but the wood is impeccable. The floors are
Because this was
beautiful.
gorgeous house, gorgeous wood
Yeah, it
floors
was.
on the house is what I was
Yes,
watching.
beautiful. There wasn't even dust on the floor, and there's no singe marks whatsoever.
Because Dad always made them take their shoes off when they came in the house. But you're
Right.
right. Yeah, that was demon fire, and therefore it doesn't. It only burns the things that it needs.
Well,
Well,
and that's what I
there's
like.
also-
that's what I chalked it up to.
There is a
Yes,
point where
right.
there is a long shot, a long shot on the house when they're just getting home at the start of the movie. That if you pump up the volume, you can, and it's just a shot of the hallway inside as they're coming in. You can hear footsteps and people moving around in the house if you turn up the volume as right before they get into the house. The cultists had been.
Okay, see,
the
I
house.
heard that. I heard that too, and
You heard that too, okay?
Because I had my Apple AirPods in, and I
Yeah.
heard that too, and
Yeah.
I took that as it was the dog.
No,
Because the next
No.
shot is the dog walking into frame and he's petting the
Mhm.
dog. But I heard feet, I heard movement.
large move. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the dog walks in the frame and they walk into the house, and I thought, and I took that note. I didn't write it, but I was like,
Yeah.
what the hell is that? That's a big dog. What was I hearing?
Yeah. And then
And
even
further-
further on, you can see a lot of footsteps in dust in their main foyer where, the dad's, well, it's obviously not them because they don't have shoes on in the house.
No. And
So
yeah,
again, he hides. That's my favorite thing about these types of movies, right? That's what I
Right.
love, are all these little
The little
hidden
details.
details.
Mhm.
Just like a Midsummer, the whole movie is told in the tapestry before you even get into it. It's perfect.
yeah, that's what makes me think that maybe I don't plan on doing it, but maybe a second viewing would make the movie better. As almost like a mystery.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
watching it, being unfolded. One piece of trivia that I thought was really interesting was that Toni Collette said she told her agent that she didn't want to do any more heavy, dark films. She only wanted to do comedies, but that she loved Hereditary script so much that she couldn't turn it down. So I thought that was interesting.
I did also read Charlie's character when they were filming the scene that she was like hanging out the window, that she actually had fun doing it.
Oh gosh.
I was like,
Oh Lord.
that's all right.
Yeah, well, I get that. My last note was, of course, we had to show the dead dog, so we knew what happened to it.
Oh, they killed the
Yeah.
dog in the movie, guys.
Yeah, they killed the dog.
Yeah. At first, I didn't realize it was the dog. I thought that they had pulled the deer from the accident over to the house, and I was like, "That's weird." But then I realized it was the dog.
Yep, the
That's
cult.
weird.
The cult did not want to them to hear the dog barking as they got closer.
I guess. Well, maybe. I mean, there's probably something to that. Because the dog was barking when Toni Collette was going through her bed. And like the door slammed, and then you hear that dog, that sound, that whimper. Oh,
Oh, that was brutal.
I hate that sound. Actually, technically, my last note was what? Question mark. That was my last note. That was in response to going into the playhouse and seeing, all the naked people and them bowing to the Jesus with the
With the crown.
the
With
crown.
the girl's head and the crown.
Yeah.
And
And then they put the crown on him, and like it was really interesting is like because the kid looks confused by everything that's happening. Like he's
Yeah.
not like he's not fully in control, but he is or something. Like
Mhm.
it was really interesting. It just of in this movie, he was not the one I expected to technically live by the end.
No.
You know? Oh, we lost you completely, Sam.
Oh,
Say-
his picture just keeps getting worse and worse.
Yeah,
Like,
which is interesting. Like you're almost becoming opaque. Like it's not like you're just blending in, but like, oh, well. Hey Sarah, it's just us. Oh, there's Andrew's back.
hello.
No, not Siri. Stop. You can't hear it, but SIRI is on my Mac here asking me questions. Okay, let's do this. I don't have any clips, and I'm sorry because I was trying to log in and it wouldn't let me log in to pull the clips from the movie. So
Huh.
I don't have any clips, and I'm sorry. That's why there was no intro. So
I can. You want me to
Fail, Sean.
reenact something?
Instead, let's see. Hold on. Do I not have any from Midsommar? No, I don't have any clips from that movie. Really? I
This
find
is just a
did the cult come in and steal them off my hard drive?
obviously.
I mean, that's the only thing I can make sense. I don't have any from that movie. How is that possible?
That might have been another one that we were like, I want to hear this.
You know, you might be right. There might not be any from that. I was just going to play some clips from that because I figured it was. But I'll play this.
Sorry.
There you go. There's a reenactment of something that happened in the movie. Oh, Sam's back.
I'm having microphone and all kinds of problems, and I realized I think I was on my AirPod mic the whole time today.
You sound good.
Thanks. That's my natural voice.
All right. Well, let's do we'll do this instead. We'll do this.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
All right. We'll play the game. The game which is called Hey, Did You Notice? It's a game where Andrew has gone painstakingly through the movie and find little fun details for us. Except not this movie because this movie actually scared him. So
yeah. I did not find as many as usual because I tried not to look at little details in this one. Because the more you see, the more it creeps you out in some cases. But I have 3, and then a 4th possibly if we need it.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah. All right.
So anyway, it's back and forth. I guess we'll do Sarah versus Sam and myself. How's that?
Okay.
So go for it.
Start with Sarah.
Sarah goes first.
Yeah. All right, Sarah. What time is on the clock when Annie comes to bed after seeing her mom's ghost in her workshop?
Oh man.
There's a clock next to her husband, a digital clock. There was a time on the clock.
I made a mental note of this at one point because in one of the Conjuring movies, it talks about 3 a.m. is like, the time, but it wasn't 3 a.m.
No.
I don't remember what time it was, but I specifically remember it not being 3 a.m. because I thought about it.
Okay. Sean or Sam?
I thought it was 12:10.
Oh.
Sean, what were you going to say?
I was going to say 1:30.
No, nobody has it. It was 11:50.
11:50.
Yeah, 11:50. Now there is another scene where there's a clock, Sean, but I didn't want to do two questions with the same, same style there, and that one was 12:03 or something like that.
Okay,
and then it changed to 12:04.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Question number 2, Sean and Sam. This is yours. What is the name of the art supply store where Annie gets her supplies for her miniatures?
Hobby Lobby.
Boone Drug.
Neither of those is correct. Sarah, did you happen to notice?
So this is when she was talking to what's her face, right? When she sees her outside the store.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Did anybody see what she put in the back of the car? By the way, what the other person was buying?
No.
Chalkboards.
Oh.
Chalkboards?
Yeah.
Chalkboards. Yeah.
Oh. No, I don't remember the name of the art shop.
It was Joel's Art Supply.
Joel.
Yeah.
All right.
We know a Joel.
Yeah. Now that you talk about those chalkboards, I do wonder if she knew this whole time that it wasn't her grandson, or if it was her grandson.
Right.
That's
so
weird.
Freaky. Yeah.
Speaking of freaky, hold on. So I'm doing Andrew's job. I'm actually going back and looking at some of the pictures. And remember the scene where Alex is at school
Yeah.
And like
Oh,
the creepy lady
that
is across the
smile.
street and it's like screaming at him, and no
Oh,
Peter,
one
you mean?
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
was that
she was
real?
kind of a hopping man, or if you want to call it that. I mean, it was like
Yeah, because we don't see her again in the movie. No, I'm sorry.
she
No,
may have been.
no, was she the one reading at the end? Was she the one that was?
She was one of the
No.
naked people.
She was.
I
She was
guess
the
she-
one that
Yep.
has the final monologue at the end, right? She was the
Yeah.
one where like.
Yeah,
I
she's
thought
the one that puts the crown on the kid.
That's right.
I thought that was Joan. Like the
That's who we're talking about.
Who I'm talking about.
yeah, but there's another scene of no, I'm thinking of the scene where the lady's just like waving at him, or
That's
she
grandma.
is that supposed to be the grandma? Because the grandma, we see her picture and she's got like short blonde hair.
Oh, is that not? Okay, well, I'm looking at the picture here. Oh yeah, you're right. That's not grandma. Maybe that's just another cultist.
Yeah,
The
I
lady
think it
who's
is,
yelling
but-
from across the street.
Yeah, that was Joan though.
well,
Yeah, that was Joan.
Yeah, Joan was
But what-
yelling, but there was another lady that was
Earlier in the movie, that was when
Yeah.
when Charlie cuts the bird head
yeah.
and looks over there. There's a woman just waving at her through the bars of the thing.
She also waves at the end too. That you guys.
Yeah, I think she's just a cultist. But Joan, my point is that Joan is literally shouting, "You have to get out," or something.
You have to
like
get
that.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get out, and it's like no other teenager hears this lunacy happening. Like, what is going on? And like, that's the other thing. There is a systematic failure amongst the school. He looks terrible.
Agreed.
Are you surprised?
Agreed.
Yeah.
There are 2.5 teachers in this call right now, and if one of your I count myself as a half, and because I used to work in a school and my wife's a teacher, so if
I was gonna say I know Sam and I aren't small people, but I don't think you can count us as a
Yeah,
whole
it's
half of
extra.
another person.
you and I'm the half. No, you're not one and a quarter person. But like, if any one of us were in a classroom setting and saw him walk in, you need to go to the nurse or something. Like, you don't look
Right.
well.
Yeah.
He
Yeah. Something's
looked
going on here, buddy.
so screwed up. And then, so like, when he had his possessive moment in the school, was that like just a preemptive possession?
I guess
With the
so, yeah.
smiling
Like, his face was like,
reflection.
In the window.
yeah. Well, no,
Yeah.
the falling reflection, which was creepy,
That was super. It reminded me of Smile.
Yeah.
which I have not seen.
Yeah,
Nor
I
will
haven't
I
either.
ever, 'cause that
Oh.
was
I don't think I want to.
Brutal.
But like, that's when he says, "I'm being threatened by a demon" or something. But like, right before the headbang.
Oh yeah, with his face.
Mm-hmm. And
Oh.
his
Yeah,
hand
his
like
face is all his
Yeah,
hand's all
and he's
ordered
like
and-
he's
yeah.
cramped. Oh,
Yeah.
ugh.
yeah.
Well,
like, was that like the possession was he was trying to do it, but the kid was resistant?
Well, the one thing we have to bear in mind is the light that we see, that blue light, is
Yeah.
the possession,
Yeah.
is the demon itself. And at the very end, you see that light get into him once he's fallen out the window.
Sure.
Right.
But there's several times in that school scene where you see a light over him, like when they're under the bleachers smoking. There is a blue light that is kind of over him a little bit, but not moving. Same thing with I think in the school scene too, you see the light go down the hallway into the room, and there's the light is the key to if he's possessed or not.
And I'm with you. I picked up on that about the third time we see the light. Like, oh,
Yeah.
that's what that is.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, again, in the moment when he sees the light in the room, and then he throws his hand up, and then they're like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with him?" And his face is all contorted, and then he starts banging his head. If Payman wants this boy, he wouldn't damage him. So that's what I was confused about. Was that the boy trying to keep him from getting in? Was he resisting? Which is why later in the movie he's not possessed until he dies.
Yeah, he has to be whittled down, basically.
He has to be less resistant, which is what
Yeah.
happens when you throw yourself out the second-story window and land in the garden.
Yeah. Well, in that book that she reads, it does say that the demon looks for the most vulnerable male
Yeah.
body or host or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready for question number 3? This is
Yeah,
the last one.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So last question,
What-
Sarah. Sarah, this goes back to
Sorry, I'm just looking at his picture.
you. Yeah. So in her mom's belongings, Annie finds 2 floor mats like the one that Joan has. And Annie's name is on one of those floor mats. What name is on the other?
Oh,
Yeah, she pulls out 2 of them. Annie, Joan,
whose turn is it?
Sarah's.
Sarah's. Okay.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm probably wrong, but it's her brother's name.
Which is?
John? Or is that the husband?
No. Her husband's name is Steve.
Oh wow. Way off.
Steve.
No, I don't know.
Go
Okay.
ahead, open.
Sean or Sam?
I thought I saw Charlie or Charles.
Yeah.
Ah,
It was Charles.
that's what I thought.
Charles?
And I don't know who Charles is. I don't know if that was, I don't think that was her brother. I think maybe that was,
I think that was her brother.
was it
Wasn't
her
it?
brother?
I get a half
It was
point.
Annie was the other one, which was her, right?
Right. And maybe it was. I don't know. I missed that. For some reason I was thinking it was the dad, like the grandfather, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
maybe it was the brother.
Yeah, I thought it was the brother who was accused of having schizophrenia or whatever.
Yeah. I can find this real quick.
They're
'cause there's
trying to
a
put
letter.
people
I'm
into me.
Googling it 100%.
I think that they were right when he thought they were trying to put something in him.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. I mean, this grandmother is the
worst.
what am I trying to say? She's responsible for a lot of deaths.
Yeah.
By the way, another little detail that he sprinkled in here that I love. There is a picture of the grandmother feeding
Yeah.
the daughter, or
Charlie.
Charlie. If you look at the bottle, there is green material in the bottom of the bottle.
Uh-huh.
When Annie is at the seance lady's house and she has the tea, she pulls out a little bit of green from her mouth.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's the same herb that is apparently like a witch's herb. I can't remember.
brew.
It's in the box of her mother's possession that that shows the type of herb that is.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do like when they put things in movies, these little details. You know,
Yeah.
The Haunting of Hill House does so well.
Good.
There are so many like things in the background, and there are,
Yep.
I mean, there's people standing in the background that you don't even notice.
Yep. Sean, you
that-
got to
in
see it,
that
dude.
show.
You
Yeah.
gotta find time. It's so
Yeah.
good.
I will, you know, we talked about this last week. We were talking about movies that have kind of been the scariest for me. And I said that I wasn't really affected. And I mentioned it earlier, but Haunting of Hill House, that's one that
Yeah.
I liked watching it, and I've made myself watch it, even though I didn't want to, because I would watch an episode and I would go, oh my gosh, I cannot watch another one, but I have to. Like, you know, it was so good that it made me like that genre a little bit more than I have.
Totally agree.
I'm watching.
I'm still looking for the mats.
Yeah, I have the trailer is on here on IMDb again, and just
For this movie, Hereditary?
yeah, it's even the trailer is freaky. Oh, I just saw something in the trailer I hadn't seen before. I wonder if they did it just for the trailer. But there's a shot where Joni is working on the model, and she looks up like almost directly into the camera, and that light flashes on her face. Again, it could have been just for the trailer. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Cool.
You said you had one more, maybe, Andrew?
Well, I do have one more, but it's pretty simple, and if you were paying attention, it's easy to get. What color were the flowers at the grandmother's funeral?
Oh,
Yellow.
they were white, weren't they? White.
Yeah, they were white.
Yeah.
All the flowers. I thought that was weird.
Everything
because
was white. Yeah.
Everything was white, and all the flowers are white. And I was like, I've been to a few funerals in my life and never been to one where every flower in the room is white. So I thought it was odd. So I just took note of it. Yeah.
Another detail too is during her eulogy, she mentioned seeing a bunch of people she's never seen before.
Yeah.
And those being the cultists.
That would make sense. Ugh.
Charles is the brother.
He is.
Charles is the brother. There you go.
All right. Okay. I missed that. So yeah, I guess you would get a point for that, for the brother.
Yeah. Out of 3 episodes, I got 1 point. It's fine.
There you go.
Just keeping track since for the last year. I love it. All right.
I kind of tortured you with Portnoy's complaint, so that's fair.
That's right. That's fine. We tortured you back with Morbius, so I think we're all even. I mean, I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't realize it was going to be that bad. All right.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
All right. Well, this is where we're going to give this movie a score. We do have to end this episode at some point, and so I think now is as good a time as any. So let's give this movie a score from 0 to 10, and we start this week with Andrew.
Well, 7.3 is what is on IMDb, and Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 90% fresh on there, and an audience score of 70%. So, I mean, I can't disagree. I think it's really well done. I am not going to rewatch this, even though I think, like you said, Sean, I think a second watch might help me catch some of the things that I missed. But I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to miss them because I'm not watching it again. But yeah, I liked it because it was a horror movie that was actually scary to me, and freaky and all the right things. And it's just well done. Like, it's well acted. We've already talked about cinematography. And I thought it was just very well done. So I'm going to give this a 7.8 out of 10.
Okay. All right, Sarah.
Diplomatic answer or my real answer? Yeah.
Whatever answer you want to give me.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 10.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I watched it like 4 times before recording tonight because the first run through, like I said, I was in my room, lights off, it was completely pitch black in here, and my jaw was on the ground for half the movie. Like, it really was emotional for me. Then I go to a friend's house and I'm like, we have to watch this movie. Like, you have to watch this movie. I'm going to sit down and watch it again. So I watched it like 4 times up until tonight. And when we get off the show, I'm going to watch it again because I really liked it. And I really liked that it had me like wound up about it. So like, Sam, I can't even see your face, but that is a disturbing photo. And in my head, I'm like, I'm going to watch this movie again because it is messed up. So yeah, I loved it.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how to feel about that. No, that's fine. Like what you like. I mean, when we did Paranormal Activity, again, you could not pay me to watch that movie again. And our guest on that show, that's what she watches when she's doing laundry.
Yeah.
Like that's her chill movie. Like, that's how she gets happy. I'm like, that thing scared me for days. And she's laughing. I mean, that's why we picked it. We were going to do something else.
Yeah.
And then when she found out that the trailer for the second movie freaked me out, she's like, well, then we're going to do the first movie. Damn, I should have said anything. I'd have more sleep in my life. Sam, what you got?
Yeah, we heard a bunch of 7s on the general consensus. I kind of go there as well. I'm right there with Andrew, around a 7.75. Very well done. I had certain expectations and they were almost met. And I think I talked myself up while we're talking this movie through as well. Started this thing at like 10 o'clock, or no, about 11 o'clock last night.
Yeah, you started last night, yeah.
And did the really late viewing, which is always fun with these type of horror movies. But no, I can't say I had fun with this movie, but it was at least an experience, right? And that's what we look for. We look for this a type of experience that we wouldn't normally have, and we saw things in this that, that just like that head on the side of the road. I swear I'm going to have nightmares about it.
Mhm.
You know, as
100%.
much as I've had nightmares of other horror movies. So, freaky. Don't mess with Panini.
So at about
Persephone.
when I was looking at when I was watching the movie last night, and I would look up at the time code. At about 15 minutes left in the movie, that's when I went and grabbed a melatonin to take, because I knew that I would be wound up from the movie. So like I take the melatonin, I got the 15 minutes. So when I shut my laptop, I can just like slide into sleep and not like sit there and relive the movie over and over and over in my head, because I knew that I would. Like I did that with Nope, and I stayed up for like another 20, 30 minutes just reliving certain, mainly the chimp scenes from Nope.
Ugh,
So it's like
so bad.
I could just slide right into sleep. Of course, then the dog had to go outside, so I was like, all right.
And then
so-
whatever was down that hill was coming up that hill after you.
Oh,
So
man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I did have to watch something else after I finished this.
yeah,
'Cause
I got some
finished-
TikTok in or something. But
Yeah, I did
Well, I finished it at like 11:30 or 11 o'clock,
Yeah.
and I played a game of Fortnite, and then I thought, you know what, I have to watch something happy right now, because if I don't, I won't be able to sleep. So I found an old Seinfeld episode, and I was like, this will do.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just right now my Facebook feed, those videos, the reels, the algorithm has it set for magic tricks, people doing magic tricks.
Oh,
So
nice.
I was like, oh, I'll watch 2 or 3 of these guys doing magic, and then like once I got back in bed after taking the dog out, I was like, oh, this is nice and easy. And at that point, the melatonin was doing its job, and it's like, okay, I can just sleep right, just slide right into sleep. So, I'm going to give this movie. So I'm going to score it a 7. Again, I didn't really like the movie, but it is so well made, so well acted. The music, like the sound design, is so good and creepy, and just unsettling. I mean, just like Sam, you heard the footsteps and stuff. Like if
Yep.
you got really good headphones you're watching this on, this movie is so unsettling. I mean, the sound of the head hitting the telephone pole, like that sound design was so good. I couldn't tell you if there was even a score in this movie, because it's so atonal. It's just these long chords that are like minor, and all these really weird structured to make you unsettled.
Yeah.
So it did its job. It didn't scare me as much, or bother me, I say, as much as some of the other movies that we've seen. And maybe my mood had something to do with it, but it's a really well made movie. So I think people and I know we've had them on the show who said that this movie was not only not scary, but it was a bad movie. And though for me, the landing didn't quite stick the landing the way that I thought it should have. Hearing some of Sam's and Sarah's like explanations of things, I think makes it kind of helps stick the landing.
Yeah.
But then that also goes back to my argument about why I hate The Shining, is that I shouldn't have to watch a documentary to make the movie.
You got to go watch that room
237 or
237 doc. It's so
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure the doc is great, but the movie still is not. So, and so that's a hill I'll die on.
Well, it's a great documentary about how an auteur director can hide things within a movie.
Sure.
Really.
Which is, I mean, that sounds amazing, but again, you couldn't pay me to watch The Shining just because.
Go watch Hill House first.
I don't have time for any of these.
Yes, you've got to.
Really
This is
should.
the month to do it.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to come down there and force you and put a bunch of flies in your living room and
that sounds
stomp around in your attic until you
And
watch
hang
it.
up a poster of Charlie's head.
Yeah. I'm going to put that picture back on here of your head on the side of the road.
I'm legit gonna have to put like a warning at the beginning of this YouTube. That was so gnarly. That was scarier than the freaking movie because it's my head.
Oh.
All right, what are we doing next week? Oh no! First of all, thank you so much, Sarah, for coming on.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
This is a great movie, so
Yeah.
I'm pumped about it.
I'm glad we'll have you back on some more. and we'll do maybe something fun and light.
Like Insidious,
Like
which is the number one movie on that list. So
Yeah.
Oh,
and I have heard that. I've heard that Insidious is like legit scary. Like, I don't know.
I've never seen it.
It's in the Conjuring family.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
It's the same
I think so.
director.
I love the Conjuring movies. Okay, cool.
Yeah, the Conjuring scared me pretty good. The first one had some really good jump scares. It was
Absolutely.
so good. And it's one I could recommend to my parents. Like, it doesn't need to cuss and
Yeah.
totally
Oh.
be completely violent. It's scary for the sake of scary. It's amazing.
Is there anything that you want our listeners to, look at of yours, Sarah? Bird in the Hand podcast, and
Bird in the Hand podcast has retired. Yeah.
like,
So now I'm just I'm working as a virtual assistant to a couple people that run podcasts.
Oh,
But yeah, there's not really a whole lot for me to throw out as recommendations.
that's okay. Go back and listen to those old episodes of Bird in the Hand. They're still out there in the ether somewhere, I think.
So funny.
Next week it took us 3-4 years, but we're gonna finish the trilogy. We're finishing the Halloween trilogy. Next week we're
What?
doing Halloween Ends with special guest Chris Lott from Measuring the Score podcast, who is the reason why we did the first 2 Halloween movies in the first place. So we thought we had to have him back on to finish that off.
Mhm.
And then after that, we get into November, in which I have no movies at all listed. So if you guys listening have a suggestion for a theme for November, because we usually do only 3 movies in November because the 4th week of Thanksgiving, so we don't record that week. So if you guys have a theme, a trilogy of something you want us to watch, just let us know.
Monster movies, but like I'm looking at my screen right now, and Meg 2: The Trench is up there.
Yeah, I've heard that's just trash.
I know, but those are the best kind.
I enjoyed the first one.
Yeah.
I'm down for whatever. If somebody has at one point we were going to do some more Star Trek movies. We might do that later. But yeah, if you have any suggestions for a nice trilogy for us to do, I do know that Tabby wants us to do the Hobbit trilogy. We'll see. Yeah. Anyway,
see the problem with we could talk off air.
Yeah. Anyway, y'all, thank you so much for listening. You can find more about us at cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com. You can find links to our social media, to our store where you can go buy a T-shirt or a mug or whatever, stickers, and support us there. Also, YouTube. There you can go, or you can watch Sam's extremely uncomfortable art. And
it's not all mine.
Well, okay. And so go that and leave us a review, like and subscribe, all that great stuff. So support us any way you can. We really appreciate it as we slowly creep towards 10 years as a podcast. So that's
oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so great.
We're coming up on 10 years. So it's impressive.
20% of my life has been on this podcast.
I know. It's crazy to think.
Jesus.
Yeah. So that's going to do it. So on behalf of Sarah, Sam, Andrew, this is Sean saying thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you next week for Halloween Ends. Bye.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.